Welcome back to the Real Cinema Squad.
Wow, I'm right here.
Welcome back to the Real Cinema Squad. I'm Austin,
I'm Roman.
and we are going to talk about The Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, the new movie that just came out this weekend. Roman and I just got home from seeing this. We really just want to have the discussion with you guys and just talk about what the movie was like.
It
So
could not be fresher. We literally
yeah,
just
we
walked in the
we
door.
literally just saw it. This is a spoiler review, so if you have not seen it yet, please do not watch this or stop right now.
Okay, hold up.
Please watch it, but just be warned.
Exactly.
We want you to
Yeah,
watch it.
exactly. So really to me, Roman, the thing that stuck out to me the most was how visually appealing this movie was.
Oh
I
man.
mean, I know the other ones had great motion capture with Andy Serkis. They've really taken it to the next level. We've had several years since that old trilogy. The graphics, the CGI has gotten way better. The apes, the environment, everything just like looked really cinematic,
So
looked
immersive.
really immersive.
Yeah.
It honestly sucked me in more than probably the other movies did. I mean, honestly, I think this was my favorite Planet of the Apes movie out of
And,
this
and,
new
and
saga.
absolutely, and it sounds ridiculous, but like there were times where I thought I was watching actual apes.
Yeah,
Like I had to remind
for
myself that
sure.
it was people in
I
motion
mean, the
capture
hair
suits.
on the apes, I mean, it's some of the best CGI I've seen in a while, and which is crazy to say because there's been a lot of complaints with Hollywood lately of just the cheap looking CGI compared to stuff that was 10 years ago that looked better. And I would say that this really is the groundbreaking CGI that, we expect to see in movies, in my opinion. And I mean, Roman, one of the coolest things that I thought about this movie was we got to see really the world way past the humans taking over,
Yeah.
being in charge,
Hmm.
and we got to see all the cities that were just like covered by greenery, and it just looked like a lush jungle. But you saw these big like rusted structures and everything,
Yeah.
and that was super cool to see because I mean you just saw the remains of. It kind of seemed like an apocalyptic movie a little bit, you
It
know.
did. Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of The Last of Us, that video game when you're walking
Mhm.
around through the zombie apocalypse and you're going through these old buildings. But it just had this really immersive feel when you're seeing these apes crawl up these big skyscrapers,
Yeah.
and it looks like a jungle, it looks like a tree, but it's actually a skyscraper. I just thought that was really cool.
That's literally how the movie starts. That's the first shot of the movie. You
Yeah,
see an ape climbing up a giant structure. But you're talking about the CGI, and in an era where I think, especially with stuff like Marvel recently, they push it too far, so it looks unrealistic again.
yeah,
When Doctor Strange, you use the eye.
This was a situation of like we know what the advancements are, we're taking full advantage of them, and we're not doing too much. And it was just at one point the special effects artists really had their work cut out for them in this one because there was a scene where all the apes were in water,
hmm
and if and editing water is one of the hardest things to do, and you
yeah,
have a bunch of apes and making that look good. I was like,
yeah,
they didn't have to put a water sequence in here,
yeah.
so they just made it hard on
I mean, a
themselves.
lot, a lot of those shots in the movie were relatively all CGI,
Yeah.
which was the crazy thing about it. I mean, and those motion capture actors
Hmm.
did
So
incredible.
good, so good.
Well, before we jump into the story bits, Roman, one of my favorite shots of the movie, just to stay on this visual aspect, is there's a scene where Noah and the girl companion May,
May. Yeah.
they're being chased by this other clan of apes, and May gets into the brush in this like big field, and the
Mhm.
grass is high, and she's hiding in it, and the apes are moving through there, kind of like coming like this to try to corner her, and the camera shot goes above
Yeah, it was just
like an aerial view,
it was an
and
aerial
you got to see
shot.
them kind
Yeah.
of move in on her, and that was the coolest shot of the movie to me.
It
It
was
just
almost like this minimalist like
yeah,
art piece almost that like to see all the tracks of everybody moving because you can't see them.
yeah,
So you're just seeing the movement. I thought it was really good. I tend to agree with you that I think it's my favorite in this later section of movies. And I loved the trilogy with Caesar. And they did honor Caesar at the beginning of this movie, and I thought that was great. But we didn't know what to expect. Ty and I had done the trailer reaction on this
mhm,
channel a couple weeks ago, and we had some predictions that might become true in if this ends up being a trilogy, and we had some that were proven wrong pretty quickly. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I think the surprise to me, and I don't want to spoil too much. The surprise to me was the depth of which May was involved in the story.
yeah, same here.
Because the trailer kind of alluded to the fact that like, oh, this is just a girl that the apes find and bring along with them. But there was a point where she like is leading them through the next phase of the plan or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was very surprising and and it led to some unexpected things happening.
Yeah. One of the things that you and Ty talked about in your trailer reaction was just the whole idea of this new clan of apes was twisting Caesar's words, and we really
Hmm.
didn't know if like they were the original like line of Caesar. We didn't know who was connected to him at all, and the movie really doesn't give us the answer to that. I still think Noah is connected to him in some
I
way,
think it's coming.
but what I really liked is that you have this clan who basically just took the words of Caesar and twisted them and tried to make everybody believe that that's what he originally wanted
Yeah.
in terms of the apes coming together. They still
Hmm.
stood on that idea of apes are stronger together, but he used it in a violent way. He used it in a way that was basically beating down the
Yeah.
rest of the apes. And it was cool watching Noah, who knew nothing about Caesar, slowly learn about the old
Yeah.
world and then basically just adopt that as like this is right because he saw the corruption that was happening with Proximus Caesar.
But there was even a moment where one of Proximus's guerrilla henchmen said, "Hail Caesar." And Noah was the look on his face was just like
Disgusting.
shock and disgust.
Yeah.
And then later in the film, Proximus Caesar himself literally utters, "I am Caesar."
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, they're taking this really far.
Yeah.
And I think that's the point. But
What I really loved is I thought Noah's characterization was really good, and it was not a coincidence because he sounded a lot like Caesar, the way he
he
acted, the
did.
way he moved, this like his character development there, and I just really liked the conviction that he had. That even with the confusion in his eyes of like this whole new world he was experiencing, but also interacting with a human for the first time, he didn't really know who to trust, but he still had a conviction to be able to save both like the human and his apes. Because even when May turned against him at the end, Noah still tried to stop her from
Hmm.
what she wanted to do, right?
Right.
And so I just thought that was really cool the way they described him. So one of the last things that I want to talk about is just the where is this movie headed? Like I'm assuming we're going to get another trilogy. We saw a lot of hints towards what could
There
possibly
were a
come.
lot of nods.
So what do you think?
Well, there were nods to what could come, and there were nods to what we've already seen.
For sure.
Ty and I talked about in our prediction that we think that this trilogy could be ending up with the astronauts from the first Planet of the Apes movie in 1968 landing, as we saw them do at the beginning of the first movie.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a beautiful way to end this, and there were nods to that
Yeah.
throughout the movie. So I really hope that's what happens. Maybe not, because this movie subverted a lot of expectations that we had based on the trailer.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but I was pleasantly surprised to say the least with this film, and
Yeah.
expectations were high,
I mean, I
and
I
I
knew I
was
liked the movie, but I didn't expect it to like it as much as I did. And I mean,
exactly.
you're definitely right with the visual cues. I think there were a lot of things. I mean, we saw kind of like the beach element from the original 1960s movie,
Yeah.
and we saw some nods to like space and
Hmm.
different things like that towards the end that I think just kind of is leaning towards that. It could be a diversion, who knows?
Yeah.
But they're throwing little elements in there to kind of remind us of the overall history of Planet
Yeah.
of the Apes, and I really like that. So
No, I was very very happy with it, and I was not disappointed at all. Like I had a visceral reaction as soon as it ended. I said, "Wow!" And I do want to point out the voice actors were phenomenal, but Freya Allen, who played the role of May in this film, was fantastic.
yeah,
And I hope that we see her again. You mentioned as we were walking out, you said, "I don't know that we'll see her again because in the last trilogy, all the human actors were kind of they were replaced." And I said to you, I said, well, that's because had the simian flu, and we saw a different circumstance this time. So there's a
yeah,
good chance there's a good chance I think that we see Freya Allen again.
I agree. So, for all the Planet of the Apes fans out there, we would love to know what you think about this movie as you all flock to the theaters to see it this weekend. So, definitely comment and let us know what you think. What are your favorite parts? What did you not like? Do you agree with us? Do you not agree with us? So, comment, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.